Protect your DNA. BioPQQ can promote formation of new mitochondria. Infowarsstore.com.
Well, it is now almost 15 years since the events of 9/11 that transformed the world, and we are still in pursuit of justice. Now, of course, this year is a little bit different. We're one step closer to the truth with the declassification of those 28 pages. Now, the annual symposium that's held in New York City, sponsored by Architects and Engineers for 9/11 Truth, Lawyers Committee for 9/11 Inquiry, and other groups, they're going to be putting on a Justice in Focus symposium. It'll be held September 10th and 11th. And one of our intrepid investigative journalists is going to be one of the keynote speakers, Wayne Madsen. He'll be talking about creating our enemies. So Wayne Madsen joins me now. Now, Wayne, I guess this 28 pages is going to be a pretty hot topic there at this weekend's symposium.
They are, especially in light of the fact that the release of the 28 pages, at least in heavily redacted form, we didn't get all the information, helped prod the House of Representatives today to pass unanimously the bill called JASTA, which will allow victims, the families of victims of 9/11, to sue the government of Saudi Arabia. Now, President Obama has already stated that he intends to veto that legislation, but that and 28 pages and the JASTA unanimous vote in the House will be obviously items of huge discussion here for the next 2 days.
Right, and it's obviously pretty symbolic that they passed this just days before September 11th, and then, of course, to see Obama say where he stands on the whole issue. Talk a little bit about these threats made by Saudi Arabia that this was back in April, I guess. They were warning of economic fallout if Congress dared to pass this bill. They were threatening to sell off hundreds of billions of dollars worth of American assets held by the kingdom. In fact, if the families were allowed to pursue, to pursue any kind of recourse payback for what happened.
Well, I don't think the Saudis are too concerned. Not only do they have the Obama threatened veto to protect them, but also we see that every attempt to get to the truth in 9/11 is met with institutional resistance from the Central Intelligence Agency, from the White House, whether it was the Bush administration and now the Obama administration. I would think that Hillary Clinton would be in lockstep, of course, with the Obama administration on this issue. But it's quite clear that the Saudis feel that they've got enough lobbying clout in Washington that this threat of suing them by the families, and I'll be seeing them every year. I come to one of these events in New York, and you see the same families. None of them have gotten any closure, and that's 15 years. I would also point out that Obama picked this week to appoint a Saudi-connected or to nominate a Saudi-connected lawyer to be a member of the federal bench, U.S. District Court for the District of Columbia. This Mr. Qureshi, the issue isn't that he's the first Muslim American judge. Nobody really should care about that. If he's qualified, he's qualified. Harvard Law School. The issue is the law firm he's with, Latham and Watkins, is very influential in Saudi Arabia. They have a major office in Riyadh. They have another major office in Dubai. And Qureshi has also been part of operations to allow, for example, there was a case here in New York where two movie producers wanted to put ads on Metropolitan Transit Authority trains and buses advertising a movie, and the poster said the Muslims are coming. And the MTA didn't think that was a good idea. It was Mr. Qureshi who Obama has nominated for the federal bench in D.C., which the D.C. Court is like the stepping stone in many cases for Supreme Court cases. And here we have Qureshi representing the movie producers that wanted these posters.
Right.
The Muslims are coming. And this is all done on 9/11 week. Obama hasn't even given any indication he's going to be in New York for the official ceremony tomorrow.
Right, and that's all just a continued slap in the face to the families there and to the American public who is just in search of truth after all of these years, obviously pointing out that these 28 pages have been held for 15 years because they didn't want to cause any friction between the U.S. and Saudi Arabia. And of course, Hillary Clinton is so proud that she's going to be showing up there this weekend. And I wonder, if the families will get the opportunity to ask her if she is going to give back some of the campaign contributions the Saudi Arabians have made to her campaign. Now, I know that that's going to be a big issue there. A lot of keynote speakers are going to be talking about prosecuting 9/11. Of course, always the science comes up, the 28 pages. But you are going to be there to discuss creating our enemies. So give us a little taste of what we can expect.
Well, I'll be talking about how this group, the Islamic State or ISIS or Daesh, came out of the remnants of Al-Qaeda in Iraq. Remember, Donald Trump was correct when he said there was no Al-Qaeda in Iraq as long as Saddam Hussein was in charge. After we overthrew him, of course, we had Al-Qaeda in Iraq, and then out of that, we got the Islamic State. The leader of Al-Qaeda in Iraq, and then the first leader of Al-Qaeda in Iraq, who then became sort of the transition guy for ISIS, we had Zarqawi, Al-Qaeda in Iraq. Then we had al-Baghdadi #1, the transition guy from Al-Qaeda in Iraq to the Islamic State. And then we had Baghdadi #2, the current caliph of the Islamic State. There's information from intelligence services, from inside Al-Qaeda itself, that these were manufactured individuals. None of these guys ever existed. They were created as U.S. military psyops to basically justify interventions by the U.S. in first Iraq and then in Syria.
What do you think is the key takeaway in this little bit of time we have left that you want people to remember about 9/11 and continue pushing, asking questions?
Well, I like people to remember how their world changed on 9/11, how for the last 15 years we've lived in a different country, a very draconian United States. Everything we do, traveling, communicating with people, is all the surveillance aspect of all this is a direct result of 9/11. And we should remember that those who were the real architects of this, the Project for the New American Century, urged the need for a new Pearl Harbor. And on 9/11, they got one. And we've seen what they did with it. They didn't make a secret of their intentions, and we shouldn't make a secret of them either when we look back to see how this whole operation was pulled off and why it was pulled off.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and of course, one of those things that I'm always so curious about is how it went from Osama bin Laden to Iraq and then going to war in Iraq and taking out Saddam Hussein. Was this, do you think this was the Saudis wanted him taken out?
And the Saudis wanted him out. Cheney wanted the access to the oil. He wanted him out. And once the Saudis and the other Salafists, the Wahhabis, saw Saddam go, then they started to bear their fangs for Gaddafi in Libya, and Assad in Syria, and Saleh in Yemen. And that's exactly what Hillary Clinton gave them.
Right. It's just so incredible all these years later. And of course, the truth is starting to trickle out. People are waking up. They're wising up, of course, with the wonderful investigative journalism coming from you, Wayne Madsen, and others. So this is just incredible, but really unbelievable that we're actually on the precipice of potentially electing this woman to become the president of the United States. And she and others have not been held accountable for this atrocious crime that has transformed the world.
Well, that's correct. And I mean, if we remember the first World Trade Center attack in '93, that happened on her husband's watch. And obviously, nothing was done to prevent other major terrorist attacks, as we saw on 9/11. We already had a taste of it in 1993 with the attempt to bring the towers down with a car bomb van parked in the underground parking garage basement of the World Trade Center.
Right. And Hillary Clinton's already telling us that this is going to be the new normal here. Wayne Madsen, thank you so much. We'll be checking in at the weekend symposium there, seeking justice for the crimes of 9/11. So the Justice in Focus Symposium will be held September 10th through 11th. You can go for tickets and information at justiceinfocus.org. If you're in the New York area, be sure and show up. The entire event will also be streamed live on YouTube for the entirety of the weekend. That's at justiceinfocus.org.
have the new product at InfoWarsLife.com, BioTrue Selenium.
We've had so many requests over the years for selenium, and just recently we were able to source a certified organic bioavailable selenium from mustard seed extract. When you take selenium in the body, it actually benefits the detoxification systems in your body. It helps balance the thyroid gland. It helps detoxify.
Selenium is another one of those absolute must-haves.
The highest concentration of selenium is in the thyroid gland, but it's actually used all over the body. As a matter of fact, there's 25 genes in the body that are directly dependent upon selenium. So it really is a all-around nutrient that everybody really needs.
I'm taking it now every day. This is so key. BioTrue Selenium is the product, the best selenium that we could bring you. We believe it's the best out there at a very, very low price. Exclusively available at InfoWarsLife.com or by calling toll-free 888-253-3139.